Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason, though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Well, hello, my beautiful people of YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, or X. I'm Bullhorn Betty, and today we're going to be discussing the Idaho 4 and Bryan Kohberger. This is related to the Moscow University murders out of the University of Idaho. This is where Kaylee Gonzalez, Maddie Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle lost their life in the early morning hours of November 13th. Since this case broke, this case has rocked the world. People wanted to know who could possibly be responsible for the brutal slaying of 4 University of Idaho students. Since then, on December 30th, Bryan Kohberger was arrested and charged with the crime. One of the first things that came out was the affidavit of probable cause, and that was released to the public. And many people in the public read it online for the first time and had that immediate shock value, like I did on my channel, the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. And when we learned that Dylan Mortensen waited 8 hours to call law enforcement, it confused a lot of people. It made a lot of people angry or upset and concerned whether that delay cost one of the victims their lives. Now, granted, fast forwarding to now, we know that that was not the case, that no matter what, all 4 of them would have most likely succumbed to their injuries no matter what time the 911 call was made. However, there was a lot of confusion with that 911 call, predominantly when and why, because it came in right before noon on November 13th. However, it was reports for an unconscious person, and many people understand stabbing type of injuries and had to imagine the brutality and the blood that would have accompanied that kind of attack. So it left a lot of people very confused about the 911 call of the unconscious person. So we knew that there were people at the house before law enforcement arrived because Lieutenant Lanier stated so, and also cleared every person that was at that home very quickly in the case because there was so much focus on the students in and around the 4 victims' lives. Since then, many want to know, what did we miss? Did we miss anything? And I think with everything going on the way it did and everything moving at a fast pace, we did miss something. I pray that everybody here on today's show is here to learn something new or maybe remember something that they forgot about. God bless each and every one of you. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories channel. Hey guys, Bullhorn Betty here, giving you breaking daily updates related to the Sebastian Rogers case. This is going to blow your mind, guys. I've been personally covering the case of Sebastian Rogers, a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from Hendersonville, Tennessee. His mother, Katie Proudfoot, and stepfather, Chris Proudfoot, came out and told their stories in this interview about what transpired related to the disappearance of their 15-year-old son. Katie, Sebastian's mother, describes the day before he disappeared, Sunday, February 25th. They went to BJ's, he got a colossal popcorn, he was just a very happy, jovial young man, and they came home, put some snacks away, and then they went to a local bowling alley, and next to the bowling alley was a steakhouse where they ate. After they ate, they loaded up and went home. He took out the garbage, and the rest is history. He goes to bed at 9 p.m. Mom goes to bed at midnight. She awakes at 6 a.m. to wake Sebastian up as she normally does, and he's gone. Christopher Proudfoot states that he was not even in the area at the time that Sebastian left the home, that he was many miles away as he was working in Memphis and staying in his camper in Mississippi. A lot of people watching this case unfold became very, very skeptical of both Katie and Christopher Proudfoot's story about what happened leading up to Sebastian's disappearance. Many people noticed the deep abrasion scratches in some areas looking like bite marks on Christopher Proudfoot's arms some 8 days after Sebastian disappeared. Seth Rogers, which is Sebastian's biological father, decided to start doing some ground searches and raised money on a GoFundMe page to aid those efforts. Christopher Proudfoot threatened Sebastian's father in a lawsuit related to the GoFundMe page and also the fact that Seth appeared to make the family, the other side of the family, look bad. Many people went out searching for Sebastian Rogers, and the one thing that was missing out of all the efforts volunteers put forth was Christopher and Katie Proudfoot. And when people asked them why they weren't out searching for their very son that went missing from their home, they told people that it was because law enforcement told them to stay home. However, that very evening, they were seen at a barbecue joint outside of the home enjoying a dinner. Meanwhile, never once searching for their very son that they say they care about and want to come home. Media was in an uproar, demanding answers from both Katie and Christopher Proudfoot why they're not helping with any searches for their son. And what was their response? They got in their camper, packed it up, and took off. Sebastian's mom and stepfather took off to a campground in Mississippi where they returned home for a short while and then returned back to this campground. Right now, it appears that the camper is still at this mobile home park or RV park with Chris's truck, but we have confirmed Chris is not staying there and has installed a camera on the camper. There are so many people curious as to why there's a camera on this camper, but not on their home before Sebastian Rogers walked out that door. The sheriff was very cordial at the beginning of this search for Sebastian when he truly believed both Katie and Chris Proudfoot were deemed innocent and had no culpability in the disappearance of their son. If you look at the newest interview Nick Barris has with this very sheriff, you see a much different demeanor. Does this case anger me? You darn right. Does it make me want to almost lose my mind? You darn tootin'. Chris and Katie have a lot of explaining to do because what I just laid out for you is only a minor, small amount of the case against them. Well, good afternoon, y'all. We're in. Where are we? OMG. Oh my gosh, we're back in the office. Hold the fort. Oh dear goodness. We are here. Oh, let me find I gotta find, why does it do that? Now I can't get my back screen back on. There we go. We are officially in the office. If you don't know how important it is to be back in studio, this is one of the reasons why. Did you guys hear that? If you guys didn't, I'm just going to start pushing some darn buttons. Oh my God, when I first looked, Betty's chair looked like her like her legs. Okay, that's a little, I don't even know how you can say it looks like my legs. Like this chair, they used to say had ears. Can you guys hear my effects or no? Oh yeah, she's at, oh, yep. I guess you guys hear I'm here. That was a bad joke. You bombed. Dirty scoop. You might need to turn down the volume when we're in here and I'm pushing buttons. We have other buttons, but you know. So this kind of lags the system just a little bit. I don't care. I'm just happy to be here. We've got a lot of craziness going on. Okay, so we've got a lot of craziness going on, and I'm going to go through a few cases that I think you guys need to hear about. Be on your radar, true crime, before we jump into the meat and potatoes. How we're going to run the show tonight is because we have not talked about the Idaho 4 in a significant amount of time. Everybody knows this channel sponsored me to go out there, not just one trip, but 2 trips. We had an opportunity to meet with the Gonzalez. We had an opportunity to sit down and interview them. We got a lot of accolades in the media for the work we did on this case, including but not limited to multiple documentaries that were done where they had asked us to provide our, testimony on what we experienced and stuff related to the case. We kind of stepped back because now was the legal process. The legal process is mundane. It stretches out. It goes on and on and on and on. So we had other cases that we could cover while they're doing the back and forth, delay in the court systems. And now we're starting to get some information. We're starting to get a judge that understands the public has the right to know about these. Okay. When we take somebody to court, it's our case. I mean, it's the state's case, but we, the people, fund all of this. Okay. And because we fund all of this, we have our rights to watch these trials. And now, way back then, years ago, when our justice system was in its infancy, there were no TVs. There were no, there's no way for people to listen or hear. You had to go and be present physically at these court cases. Now, with modern technology, we have the ability to be in the front row due to contracts and other things with court TV. And, there are some judges that balance those, but we have to understand Moscow, Idaho is very small. You're talking about maybe 5,200 residents. Okay. The university out there is the lifeline and the blood of that area. Many people don't realize that, but when kids are in school, things are booming in town. When people are not in school, things slow down. So I don't think that they've had a lot of experience there with high profile cases, and in an abundance of caution, I feel that Judge John Judge was being overzealous in the advocacy and protection of Bryan Kohberger's rights at the expense of the public. Now, is that a good strategy? Is that not in this case where you have Ann C. Taylor involved in this case? You're talking about a pit bull. Many of you guys just know me from the Sebastian Rogers case, but I try to educate people a little bit. I know, Judge, it truly is. Trust me, we hackled about that. Maybe I should say cackled about that quite a bit when he was assigned to the case. And, I think he did the best he could, but I think he was so terrified of making a mistake that he just shut the case down, because no judge likes to be overturned by a higher court. It doesn't look good on their judicial record. And I think because of that, and because he was trying to do everything right, and we know that human beings make mistakes, even judges, I think in an abundance of caution, he didn't want to make detrimental mistakes and try to limit the points on appeal. All of these murder cases, if they're convicted, will be appealed. I mean, there's very limited, I'd say 99.9% of convictions are appealed. When it's these higher level, death penalty cases, capital cases, life imprisonment cases, I have not found one, except ones that have, there are, believe it or not, are people that will tell the judge, I just want death. Believe it or not, the defendants say that. They know that they're evil and they're not going to be able to stop, and they convey that to the courts. For whatever reason they do that, that's still the situation at hand when it comes to some defendants. So I have to put them in as part of the percentage that, the 0.01% of, the statistics here, because we've seen like that Wade character. Isn't he one that just said put me to death or something? I think that was one of the more recent cases, the guy with all the tattoos on his face, and he killed 2 women and what have you. Well, long story short is those types of things don't get appealed, but almost everything else. You guys have been with me to watch Alec Murdaugh. Okay, Alec Murdaugh hasn't stopped the fight since he started the fight. He made him and his defense made some critical errors in their defense that opened the gate to additional testimony being brought in by Pandora's box, so to speak. So I think that was one of the reasons. But this new judge is starting to be more public friendly. Okay. I think that some of the stuff that they redacted and kept from the public was unnecessary. I think that's what I'm getting across the board from all the legal professionals, that this, yes, Wade Wilson. Thank you, Truth and Time. That's perfect. Yep. Yep. So we're going to be going over some of the stuff. I know some of the stuff you guys have seen, but because I am going to be going over it, you guys can stick around for it. We're going to be going through some of the new stuff, all these motions in limine. I want to look into and digest. I have not looked into them yet. I watched the Drunk Turkey show, I think it was last night, and he went over these, in detail, which is what sparked my curiosity to go over them today. In the greater part of the news, for the breaking news aspect of this, I'm sure many of you guys, and if you haven't, this is the information you need to know. There was an active shooter scenario or situation in our Pensacola Naval Air Station here in Florida. Now, this kind of took social media by a storm, because we don't really have these types of situations here. The crazy thing about this is there was no signs of a shooter. So I'm not going to go ahead and read this, because we're going to kind of peruse through some of the breaking news so we can start breaking down the cases that we've dived into deeply. Bryan Kohberger in the Idaho 4 is one of the cases. We made 2 tours out there. We were stationed in front of the house where the victims were killed. We went to Bryan Kohberger's stepdoe apartments. At the time, they were executing the search warrant for the case. Yes, we were there for that. We captured all of that. We captured the cars being removed from the house. We captured the cleaning crew coming to the house, setting up, and then having to move away because of an order of the court that Ann C. Taylor preemptively filed in the matter to preserve the evidence. And so that stopped the cleaning of the house, and they had to leave. So we were there for all of the milestones. The only milestone that this channel was not personally boots on the ground for was the demolition. But as many of you know, I collaborate and went out there multiple times with Chronicles of Olivia. You guys know that she is one of my best friends. We collaborate on a lot of cases together. She, over the last year and a half, has moved out of the state of Florida into a different state. And so we haven't really collaborated too much on a lot of cases over the last year and a half. There's other reasons for that. I was having auto issues. I was down a car. Been down a car for almost a year. And so now at this point, we're trying to get things back up. We've got several cases that we have previously been working on that we are going to probably start presenting to you guys over the next few months. And one is a very sad case. Many of you guys heard of me talking about Jason in Virginia. He's the boy hanging out of the tree. That is really a sad case, and I want to learn more about that. Something's not sitting right with me. And of course, I have all of the records for this young man, including his autopsy photos. There's a lot of stuff when it comes to this case that I am not going to be able to present to you guys on this platform due to the graphic nature of the images. But what I can do, and I can kind of describe them in part. But that's what we are going to be taking some time to help a family out. I've just got to find a chunk of time to help, because it's not going to be a case that we provide the type of level of investigative reporting as we've done with like the Idaho 4, Summer Wells, Sebastian Rogers, but we will be boots on the ground. We will be working with the parents, and we will be figuring out what avenues we have to try to get them some type of justice, and finding out what happened, what truly happened to their son. So without further ado, I wanted to make sure you guys knew there was nothing significant about the naval air shooting or shooter responding by, we had authorities out there, but there was no signs. So there was no casings. And it makes me wonder, is something more going on there? Whenever I hear things like that, I always believe that is almost trying to time how long it will take for law enforcement to respond. I get very, very uncomfortable when these types of calls come in, especially to our naval base, when there is a major fight right now with the President of the United States and some of the policies within the military. We had the helicopter crash that they said was, nothing to see over here. I don't trust our government, even with the guy that I like in charge. I don't trust our government, because I know that they will lie to us to keep national security, period. And you guys know how I feel about that. All right. So there's another new case, not a new case, an old case that we have covered and has been a top contender for a lot of my audience in true crime. And that is the Skelton brothers. Okay. We did kind of dive into this. This was a surface level dive just for reporting purposes, because people wanted to look into this case for another case. And I can't write, they will lie. Exactly. And we know that. And we know that national security gives them the right to lie to the American people. I don't like it. I don't trust it. I feel like there was too many things involving our military when we had a change of leadership in the White House. Now, it could just be a coincidence, but we are in true crime. We don't really believe in coincidences. And so this is very interesting. Many of you guys know that the Skelton brothers, they were 3 boys that went to go with their father and never returned. They've been gone for 15 years. The father doesn't know where, or states he doesn't know where they are. And there's a lot going on with him. I can't remember if the father was arrested. I feel like the father's been arrested for this, but I don't know. Maybe he was arrested for the custody stuff, but the mother actually went to the courts after 15 years and asked the courts to deem her children, all 3 of her children, deceased. What does that look like, and what does that mean? We're not sure, but she wanted to give her sons a date of death. These are age progressed photos right here, provided by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. He is in jail. Thank you, MJ. This right here, this breaks your heart, because they were handsome boys. They had a lot of life. They had everything, and their father snuffed them out over what I will never understand that kind of evil from parents. It's what we absolutely advocate against. The judge ended up granting those certificates, and now all 3 of these boys, gosh, I get goosebumps saying this, all 3 of the boys are officially deceased. We all kind of knew what happened to them. We don't know how, but we all knew. And I think that this is a very, when this happened, it's a very somber day. But I think it's closure. Closure for a mom. I can't imagine how this mother has survived. I don't know. I tell some of my victims' family members all the time about how brave they are, and I don't believe some of these families, which I truly believe are also victims, just how brave they are. And this mother lost her three handsome and beautiful children. And she still has managed to make a way, and she just wants them to rest and rest at peace. She may never find her sons. Her sons have never been recovered, um, but we now know what their fate is. So I know we had a lot of people inside our channel that has brought up this case over the last several years for comparison with other unsolved cases or cases without bodies and things like that. But that's what we have here with their case. Now, this next story is going to be a little shocking, and this is one that I would like to take a deeper dive in, not just a surface dive, but not a deep dive. And this was about a teenage girl that was found. We're going to read this one because if this is the right one, I think she was dismembered, and she was only 14 years old. A mother remembers teenage daughter after her remains were found in Arizona. She was just a baby, and there's that beautiful 14-year-old girl's photo right there. This is Emily Pike. The mother is remembering her late teen as a very happy and kind days after authorities discovered the identity of her remains in Arizona. On February 27th, the Gila County Sheriff's Office shared news release on Facebook announcing the remains of an identified female discovered on April 14th off Highway 60 North Milepost 277 on Forest Service Road. Within days of the investigation, GCSO and San Carlos Apache Tribe identified that the remains belonged to a child previously reported missing by Mesa Police Department per the news release. MPD later updated the missing person flyer on social media for 14-year-old Emily Pike, noting that the teen was located deceased, and GCSO is actively investigating. Per the police department, Pike was wearing a pink and gray shirt when she was last seen on January 27th at 7:45 local time, having left her residence on foot near Mesa Drive and McKillips Road. Speaking with a CBS affiliate, her mom, Steph DeSella, called Emily a very happy and kind person who loved painting, arts, drawing, and was hoping to pursue arts in college. Her family in San Carlos Apache Indian Reservation, but at this time she is missing. Emily was staying in a group home in Mesa, she added to the outlet. Her case manager finally came a week late to tell that she was missing, which is a problem for me. It's always a problem when we have our failures in our Department of Children and Family Services and allowing a child to run freely for a week before being found. This is a direct failure of the Department of Children and Family Services. In a news release posted on Facebook's GCSO said that it was working with several law enforcement agencies to investigate all information and evidence. Those with information pertaining to the investigation are encouraged to contact Gila County Sheriff's Office, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and San Carlos Apache Tribal Police. This is an active homicide investigation. Sheriff Adam Shepard would like to send his condolences from the office to the family and friends of this young female. According to a previous post from GCSO updated on Facebook, only intent for law enforcement was leaked to the platform, despite information that only intended for law enforcement was leaked to the platform, despite authorities declining the further information needed to be investigated before making public statements. Per KPHO, the victim's remains were discovered in a large compactor's trash bag. Detectives are unable to find her legs and hands, while a preliminary autopsy found visible face and head trauma. The GCSO and NPD did not immediately respond to people's request for information. So this is the one that I was referring to. This is the one I thought about, and just a very sad case, and one that I would like to look into a little more. Yes, that is exactly correct. But with her living in a group home and them being the ones that said she ran away, and then her winding up in a trash bag missing body parts, I have to think that they need to be looking at that group. I don't trust group homes. I don't trust them. Again, I think it comes back to, the fact that I know people lie. The fact that I know that group homes have been a harbor for SA and other types of abuses of children that can't be handled by regular society or their parents. Yet it doesn't give them a right to traumatize those children even more. So I'm not a fan of group homes. I know that they are necessary because of the situation we have in our country, predominantly the substance abuse and alcohol abuse problems we have here, which result in a lot of abuse inside of a home, to all people, right? So I don't like them. But when I hear of a child leaving a group home and then winding up in the condition this one, my first, and I mean my absolute first thought is, what the hell happened at that group home? I will be honest with you. Did anything happen to her at the group home? I have no evidence of that. But I can tell you what my very first thought is when I hear these stories. What is going on in that group home? Who's employed in that group home? Who had access to this area? Who was in this area when this child went missing? And why did it take a week for this child to be reported missing? Where is that group home? Why did they report her missing? Don't they have to do head counts several times a day? In a week, that's what gives me the EBGBs about this group home. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So this is a case that has rocked me personally. It's local. I had no idea that this has happened. And when I did, I thought, OMG, even though this is happening in the state of Florida, not too far from my physical home, it's definitely, I think, a story that everybody needs to be hyper aware of. This is a gentleman that is now deceased. This is the person that unalived him for money, tens of thousands of dollars. I think maybe $150,000. This man stole from his bank account after he unalived him. Did the same thing as the young girl in Arizona and buried him in the backyard of his rental property. And then moved out of the rental property. Oh, thank you, Robin. God bless you guys. Oh, look at this. I missed a few. So we got Melanie. Happy Friday, Betty. Delilah, mods, and chat. Much love to all. Thank you, Melanie. We have Vicky saying, hello, BHB. We stand behind you. Well, God bless you. I love that. I love that. Thank you, BHB, for all you do for the children. Love you. Thank you, Aileen. Maybe I think I said Eileen. Don't mind my hooked on phonics. I still love you. Good evening, beautiful Betty, the best mods and coffee beans. Who is DM? Okay, so BF is Bethany Funk and DM is Dylan Mortensen. They are the surviving roommates. That means they were inside the home when the brutal massacre occurred with the Idaho 4. They were on one was on the second level as Xana Krenodal and Ethan Chapin, and one was on the third level. So there were two people, and their information that has been withheld from us has recently been released. Oh, thank you so much. There are some terrible people in this world. Yes, there are, and we always seem to showcase them on the Bullhorn Betty channel. As detective has investigated he's 71 years old. God bless him. And he didn't look like he was in that good a shape. I mean, look at him. No offense, and I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, but let's face it, this older gentleman, he's got white face, sunken in cheeks. He didn't look healthy. So it looks like he was, failing um medically. So I don't understand this, but this was a handyman, and he got a hold of his phone, and he was sending messages back trying to act like this guy was still alive and heading to his family in Pennsylvania, and he was going to be there for a few more weeks, just really trying to keep all of this guy's family and stuff apprised. Now, he didn't do this alone. There's another person that was also involved in this, and it's Joseph Ray Romano is this man right here, but he was not acting by himself. There was a co-defendant in here, and I'm trying to find his name. I can't remember his name. I'll be able to tell you in just a second. Christmas. So they had a Silvanio Christmas, 31, right here, was also his co-conspirator. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was $150,000 that they ended up. Oh, nope, 89. I thought, okay, 89,000. It was almost $90,000 that they moved it from this account to this account to this account and then into his bank account, trying to make it more difficult to watch how the money traveled. But they followed the money, and it went right to their primary suspect. So he's been arrested. Both people have been arrested. And it, believe it or not, came down to the Rex Heuermann effect, right? It came down to pizza. It was the pizza in the Walgreens in Riverview that sealed the deal. He was the last person. Again, this is what we look for, right? When we have somebody missing in our community and we think something bad, what is the first thing we look at? We look at motives, means, and opportunity. Who was the last person around this person before the disappearance and or death? Okay. We know what that is in the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case, and we know who that was and is in this case. So it ended up being the person that was seen picking up the pizza with him, which was his handyman. And here's how he did it. Investigators found several suspicious transactions from Romano's Chase bank account to Coinbase and Kraken platforms to buy and sell cryptocurrency. So he actually thought he was going to be, swindling this stuff through cryptocurrency. And they, of course, followed the dollar. And this is just a beware for everybody that has child custody situations. This is another case that I had came across, and we're about to dive into Bryan Kohberger's case. So I appreciate you guys letting me bend your ear just a little bit to tell you about these new cases. When we are going through divorces and have custody exchanges, and we know that the person we left is violent, the courts really don't care. They uphold the law, and they make you exchange children. And some people do these child exchanges at what's known as safe drops, which is at a police station or a sheriff's office. I know that in our sheriff's office, we even have places that are souped up with cameras for you. You know how people buy and sell on Facebook. Instead of having strangers come to your house, you can meet them at the local sheriff's office here in Manatee County to show them your product. So there's, you're not having strangers come over. And this one ended terribly. And dad allegedly shoots mom's fiance and friend as kids watch. And there's the POS man that put his personal BS above his children. You know how I feel about that. Above his children, right there. There's the father. Oh, Robin, thank you. God bless you. Okay, gotcha. I meant to tell you the other day on your live, I got you the thank you. I remember I couldn't remember if it was you or somebody else, but I have the shirt. And you know what? I never even showed everybody the shirt. I need to go get the shirt because I want to wear it tomorrow, and I don't want to have to take it off on screen to look at what all of my sayings are on the back. So maybe before we close out, I'll bring it in here because I do want to wear it tomorrow for the show. I love it. I absolutely love it. So thank you for that. And I will read the rock. It's still in the 5-gallon bucket. I haven't unpacked that really yet, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Robin. It was so wonderful to meet you and your daughter. Your daughter's so sweet and so kind. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. So just before 5:15 that day, Vinton police officer responded to a disturbance in the rear parking lot of the town of Vinton Municipal Building, where police department is located, and found 2 men suffering from pew wounds. The police department released the victim, identified as Jeffrey Allen Catron, 31, and Bryan Christian Sled, 29, both of Bedford County, were pronounced dead at the scene. So this father allowed his anger, emotion, and abusive nature to forever take him away from his children, which in my opinion, why even try to get visitation if all you're going to do is ruin your life? We'll briefly go over this, guys. We're in day 7 of Dane Paulson. Dane Paulson still has not been found. As you guys can see, they truly do believe that this child is in the water and are concentrating their efforts on the water. We're keeping an update on it. We will keep you guys apprised of anything and everything that goes on in the case. But right now, we're just sitting and holding tight and praying that this child is found. Okay? We're praying that this child is found. All right, guys. So on November 17, 2022, is it 2022? Good gracious. It's been so long since I covered this case. November 13th, 2022. Okay. So that means I arrived in town on November 17th, 2022, which was about 4 days later. I think we were there within a week of hearing about this case. So there was a call that came in to the Moscow Sheriff's Police Department, which is a small outfit, but they are responsible for the students on campus and other things. That they have some law enforcement that are just for the campus. 1122 King Road was it was literally on the campus line, but it was considered off-campus housing. But you walk down the street into Queen, and you see the band field right there, and all in fraternity row. You know, this is where all the guys have their, fraternities and stuff like that you have on campus. So those were directly across that field and across from their house. This case kind of rocked America because parents, as you know, entrust that their children are going for an education when they send them off to college. Many of these children are thousands of miles away from their family. Some just 100 miles away, some in the same community, but a lot of students that go to different universities around the country have reasons for going to the university. I never quite understood why Bryan went to Washington State University, other than I truly believe he went there because he wanted to do this. I don't think it really mattered who it happened. I think he was hunting. Why do I believe that? Is because he was in the PhD program of criminology. I've looked at other universities that had these types of programs, and there were universities closer to his home that would have had the same quality of the program that he was entering into in Washington State, but he managed to go to a university that was so far away from his home, which is very interesting. Many people do. I mean, I'm not knocking that, but because I know more about Bryan Kohberger from the research and background information that we did back in 2022 and into 2023, um, it leads me to believe that he started realizing kind of who he was. He got into the Ramlin or whatever her name is, Rumslin, whatever, that did the BTK killer. He was part of her class and sent out this weird questionnaire to the prisons and to certain prisoners to kind of ask them how they selected their victim, just really bizarre things. So, was that part of his class? Was it not? I really don't know. I just feel like he started realizing or sympathizing with serial killers. He had a lot of problems in school. He was bullied. He was picked on. Then he was kind of chunky. Then he kind of went through this fitness thing where he was working out a lot, running a lot, really trying to get fit. Then we found out that he had an H problem. So he was realizing something wasn't right with him and trying to subside it, subdue it, in my opinion. And it led him to stealing his sister's phone, pawning it, having an issue with his dad. They worked very hard to get their son cleaned up. He started seeming like he was going in the right direction. And, he was going to college and it looked like he was bettering his life for his family. And so his family saw what they wanted to see. But to me, some of the rumors I was hearing from Pennsylvania, we also went to Pennsylvania as well. Many people don't know that I did go to the community. I didn't go into the community. His parents live in a gated community. And at this point, they were no longer allowing press in there. But I did get to speak to some of the neighbors on the outside of the gate that were willing to talk to me and learned a lot about how they got into the house. They were talking about the helicopter. They had people coming down from the helicopter, on those strings. I mean, it was, basically what you envision in, military ops. And that's what was happening in this upscale neighborhood. So it was really freaking out a lot of the neighbors and very interesting all the same. And they had no idea that this was the person that could be responsible for the news that they've been listening to on the news all the way in Washington State University. But that's the way it went. Well, we now have some redacted documents on that because a lot of people, including myself, I was trying to be very delicate when it came to Dylan Mortensen, but also when we received the probable cause affidavit and we got to read it for the first time, we realized that there had been more than 8 hours that had, was in span from the time that Dylan Mortensen saw this black, covered in black intruder in her home to the time that they actually called 911. Many of us were very, very, very unclear why it took them so long. And I think we have to refer to Steve Gonsalves. And I think Steve Gonsalves really does explain this better than anybody else. And he did a News Nation interview with his attorney. What was his Shannon Gray, I think is his attorney's name, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm sure they'll say it in here. So I wanted to show you guys this. Looks like our audio should be working. If it's not working, please just let me know. But we're going to play it now.
From the very beginning, when hopefully the 911 never came out, and if it did come out, at least she would have, be some prepared. She has a counselor, she has people she could talk to. There's certain things that coping mechanisms So we'd like for the advocate or somebody to kind of let us know what's going on, rather than nothing personal, but having the media tell you is probably not the same as having somebody that, that you've learned to have a relationship.
And I think what he's talking about here is law enforcement. One thing law enforcement has not been very good at when it comes to any of the victims, and we're seeing it in the Sebastian Rogers case, is keeping the family informed. My point is, if you can keep media informed, you can certainly keep the victims' families informed. And I think if anybody's going to release information, they should get a call from somebody in that police department letting them know. This happened in the with Brandy Neal and Michael Monkey Vaughn's case. I got a tip that somebody was arrested for failing to report a body, and that person that was arrested failed to report the death of Michael Monkey Vaughn. It was a lead that I got, so I called down to the sheriff's department. I recorded it and found out that that was true. And so I was breaking the breaking news, and law enforcement never told the mother. So these animals on YouTube reach out to the mother on a live show to break the news to her, and then had the audacity to blame it on me. Like, if they were her friends, they would have just called her and asked her, was she aware of this? They would not have drug a mother up on their panel so she can break down in all of their audience, in front of all their audience. That is, to me, disgusting and barbaric. Disgusting and barbaric. I have never done that to a family that I have ever worked with, and never will. It was barbaric. And then they have the audacity to blame. Look, I ain't the one that had her personal number. I'm not the one that should have been responsible for calling her. And no, I don't ask questions when I'm breaking news. I expect law enforcement to do their job. I expect people to do their job, and I do my job. But I never, ever, ever want to hurt a family member. But I have a job to do. And part of that job is informing my audience of breaking news. So it was very sad, but also I understand what Steve Gonzalez is talking about here, because we've experienced it before. They found, no, alcoholic, no, they've never found him. They never found him. So we're waiting. We're waiting to find out. But until we find out, so far, nothing. All right, guys, I'm going to let this play for a second. I'm just going to step away. I've got to get another battery for my vape. I'll be right back, but there shouldn't be too much here. Did that not play? Oh.
Relationship and you trust and you've worked with. So yeah, we're finding out just like everyone else. So it's a bit rough.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. And I remember that you had a meeting with them months ago, and I thought they were going to sort of give you guys a heads up when things were going to be released publicly. And I guess that didn't happen in this case, which is unfortunate. Is there anything, Steve, that, I mean, obviously is what stands out to me, but was there anything in the text of the text messages or the call that really struck you?
What struck me is, it's not like Hollywood. It's not a scripted thing. It's not like what you would see on a TV set. That was a raw, emotional breakdown of two girls that were scared for their life. There's part of me that knows that, like how that house was, there's a lot of pranking going on. There's a lot of partying. So there's part of them that was probably thinking, is this a prank? Am I getting messed with? I know for a fact my daughter loved pranking people. So my heart goes out to those two girls. I'd have a hard time if I was one of their parents to have my daughter put through what they've been put through. I mean, we sat 2.5 years on what,
I think that is important, because even Steve Gonzalez, now this is his daughter. He, wants the case to go forward, but he knows as much as we do. Law enforcement doesn't give him any more information than they give the public. The DA doesn't give any more information to the family than they do to the public. And this is what's been so sad to all of these victims' parents, is that they learn about these cases from the media, from social media. And that has got to change in our country. If you can provide information to the media, you should be CCing the family on that before it's aired. Just my opinion. Because, there's a lot of hurt when you lose someone to murder. Okay? And that sometimes manifests in anger. Sometimes the parents open nonprofits. Sometimes the parents, do other things to cope with the loss of their children. But when you don't know, you don't know. This family, the Gonzalez specifically, because that's the family that I personally spoke to, I know has been trying to get information from law enforcement. I know for a very long time, Steve wanted to know how in the world they got Bryan Kohberger. There for a while, he thought that it's possible without information, how did they come up with Bryan? He was questioning everything when it came to his daughter. In my opinion, Steve Gonzalez is America's dad. We all want fathers like that in this country, ones that take the bull by the horn and fight for their children. We have missed a lot of parents doing that. So he's saying that, it just like many colleges, and this is what I presumed happened after watching the Drunken Turkey show. As I'm watching him, I'm also thinking this just came out. So this was out after the release of that information. I didn't see this until earlier today, investigating more information for my show. And one thing I can say is when you read it, I'm with Steve Gonzalez. Like Dylan Mortensen went through hell, right? I even did a show on this channel wondering if she had called law enforcement 8 hours before, is it possible one of the victims would have survived? I don't know. But I never wanted to beat her up. It was just shocking that it took so long. And it was more shocking that they called in an unconscious person when we saw blood dripping down the wall on the outside of their room, of Xander Kernodle's room. On the outside, there was so much blood that it started dripping down the outside of the house. And it makes you wonder that this had to have been a bloody, gory scene. How in the world could these children have possibly thought that Xana was unconscious? And I think it comes down to what Mr. Gonzalez just said. They probably thought it was a prank. They have Rush there. We've seen some of the photos of the drama where somebody's got the fake knife. Hey, Eric, it's nice to see you. So I think that has a lot to do with why they thought she was unconscious. I think they thought that they were playing a prank and she passed out. And, I have to think she was also covered in blood. I mean, this was not a quick unaliving. This was probably very painful. We heard that in the probable cause affidavit that one of the cameras that was to the adjacent house, I think it was 1112 King Road. It's where Hunter and Emily lived. And that was really close to Xana's room. They had an outdoor security camera light thing. I think it was a screw-in one. And it picked up Xana moaning. So I don't think this information cleared up anything for me when it came to the text messages and other things. So let me text messages. This is the one I'm going to go to first, because this is the one that I really care about. I expect the 911 call to kind of be a little cray-cray, which it was. The phone was being passed around. They're saying their friend's not waking up. 911 dispatch is dispatching not only law enforcement, but also an ambulance there. And then shortly after that, they're calling out that this is believed to be a homicide location. And then, of course, 4 people were found deceased in that house and 2 people were found alive. And so these are the text messages related to the two communicating back and forth. And this is why it doesn't make sense why they kept this information from the public. So this is DM's, which is Dylan Mortensen, and BF Bethany Funk's phones, text messages between themselves for November 13th, 2022. And it says the case at bar stating that November 13th, 2022 at 2 a.m. in the morning sends a text message to EG, which is the Uber driver, to inquire if he's driving. The state submits this text in exchange is not hearsay because it's not offered for truth of the matter asserted, whatever. So it does state that DM is awake texting at 2:10. From 4:19 to 4:21, so at almost 4:22, so that 3-minute time, DM attempts to call BF, Xana, Kaylee, Madison, all calls unanswered. The records of these calls are not hearsay. I'm not going to go through all that. I'm just going to tell you the information. Let's see here. Those all go unanswered. And then from 4:22, so another 2 minutes, Dylan and Bethany are having some conversation, and she's letting Bethany know no one is answering. But Dylan is reaching out to Bethany and says, "I'm really confused right now." And then she texts Kaylee and says, "Kaylee," and she texts her again and says, "What's going on?" And then BF responds to DM. This is all in a 2-minute period. So 4:00 in the morning, they're communicating with each other. And Bethany is telling Dylan, dude, what the F? And Bethany is saying Xana was wearing all black. And DM is telling Bethany, I'm freaking out right now. DM to Bethany, no, it's like a ski mask almost. And she's saying, shut the F up, like no way. So it seems like they originally thought Xana was pranking them. And come to find out, so at least we know that it wasn't a mask like many of us thought, that it was just a COVID mask that he was wearing. They knew the mask was black, but they're saying, no, it's almost like a ski mask. So it sounds like he must have had something over his head. So she's saying, shut the F up, in expression, like shut the front door, type of thing. And she says, actually, and that stops. And then DM writes, like, he had something over his head. So now she's realizing it's not Xana, because she's referring to him as a he, like he had something over his head and little ND mouth. I think they meant around the mouth. So DM writes Bethany again and says, BF Bethany, I'm not kidding. I'm so freaked out. Now Bethany is saying, so am I. DM to Bethany says, my phone is going to die. F, cuss word. And so Bethany writes her and says, come to my room, run, down here, she says. So you can see that something happened at 2. By 4 o'clock, she's trying to get a hold of her roommates. We believe that this happened at, hold on here. She's texting. I'm sorry, I got that confused. She's texting at 2 a.m. They know her phone is working. By 4:21, make sure I got the times right. No, excuse me. By 4:19 is when she's realizing that there's something not right. We know that this situation happened, I believe, at 4 o'clock, I think is when they determined it. Yeah. So they believe, law enforcement breaking down believes that this happened in less than 9 minutes from the time he broke into the house to the time that he had all them. Dylan obviously seen somebody walk past her. We learned that in the probable cause affidavit, which I think we will read tomorrow because we are going to be covering this trial and you guys need to be up to snuff. It is a crazy, wild case. So she saw this black figure walk past her room and out the kitchen sliding glass doors. And then, of course, from 4:22 to 4:24, they're freaked out. They're talking about somebody with a ski mask on. She's freaked out. Bethany's telling her to run down to her room. And it kind of cuts off there. We don't really see much more. And then we see in this document that around 4:24, they're calling Ethan's cell phone. It's going unanswered. 4:24, almost 4:25. DM texts Bethany and says, "It looked like I'm screwed though." And she meant to say, if you look at where your phone stuff is, it really, I think she was just shaken and she meant to say, "I'm scared though," because Bethany is wanting her to come down to her room and she's responding, "I'm scared though." And I think this was a mistype because you see the capital R and it seems like she meant to hit the A because that's the only way you can get a capital. And then she hit the R because when you're talking about scared, it's SCAR, right? ED. So I really do believe that's what she meant to say because the W is right next to the E. Her hands were probably shaking. I can't imagine how much adrenaline must have been pumping through her body. So I truly believe that's what makes the best sense of this typo and why there's a capital R there because they meant to hit A and they ended up hitting the cap locks button, which is right next to the A. So that makes sense to me. And Bethany responds at 4:25, "Yeah, I know, but it's better than being alone." Again, both statements, I'm not going to read that. And then 3 minutes later, DM calls Gonzalez. The calls go unanswered. And at 4:28, she calls Kernodle. That goes unanswered. 4:32, she starts texting Gonzalez, begging her to please answer the phone. So you're really getting a context of how fearful they were. Though you're not hearing this, you're only reading it in text. You can see that they did know something was going on and something was wrong and they were scared. But they didn't know what. And I think that they truly thought that they were being punked. Okay? It's something that university children are known for. We have hazing rituals from the fraternities and sororities. And I just believe that now that I'm seeing all this, that is where I'm leaning to as to why this got so messed up to begin with. And it was further solidified by Steve Gonzalez's own understanding of his daughter's behavior. It's just strange to me that they said Maddie was unconscious. No, it wasn't Maddie. I think it was Xana. They just said a friend, but I'm pretty sure the first person they would have seen would have been Xana. I truly believe if they had made it to the third floor, they would have known something was seriously wrong, because it sounds like that was the first. It sounds like that was very, very brutal. I heard some of the details of the third floor, and it's not good. I truly believe Kaylee put up a fight, but I think all of those details will be coming out. And so the next morning, it seems like the girls started waking up around 10:30, and DM starts, texting Gonzalez and Mogan saying, "Please answer. Are you up? Are you up?" No answers. She's still very concerned. She's still very confused. Is this a hoax? Is it a prank? And I think that's when she decided to exit her room. At 10:39, DM texts with her father, BM. These statements are not hearsay. Um, Receives a text. I don't know who these are. It just says J. It's not really saying. And somebody J at 11:51 says there's a vandal alert. And that was about the time we learned that 4 University of Idaho students were brutally slain in their off-campus housing. I'm not going to read the 911 call because personally, I think it is very confusing. I think it will confuse our audience a little bit because the phone is being passed around a lot of the times. But what I can tell you is the 911 refers to one of their friends, one of their roommates. I don't think they mentioned the person by name at this point, or they didn't include it in there. But it appears that they couldn't wake up one of their roommates. They truly believe she was unconscious. I don't know what the condition or how they found her. But the bottom line is they thought she was unconscious and playing. When law enforcement got there, I'm pretty sure they cleared that entire house, and that's when it kind of set in. What they saw was a brutal murder of their roommates. I can't imagine that feeling because now they're being interrogated, right? They went from having a party the night before to waking up to a massacre to being drug into a police station. You guys can't imagine the whirlwind that this would cause a child, because they're still children. This is their first experience away from mommy and daddy. They're at a university, they're getting the university experience, and then wake up to I can't even imagine what it's like for these young kids. But that's kind of where we're at. Some of those messages came out, and I concur with Steve Gonzalez. Why did it take so long to put these messages out? Because Dylan Mortensen went under horrible, and when I say that, I mean horrible, horrible, horrible backlash from everybody, because she didn't call 911. But that comes down to opinions and assessments. I had a hard time digesting the 8 hours personally. I have a sister that is, just at the time that this happened, just a few years older than these young students. It hit very much home to me. I was very cautious on how I handled this because I knew the age and I knew how tender their minds were. And I wanted to be super, super cautious. We never put blame on anybody. We did ask some tough questions on here that some of my media, my mainstream media counterparts did not appreciate. I really don't care. Again, we have a job to do here, and sometimes it's a brutal job. But we kept it clean. But we did ask tough questions that could not be answered. So that's kind of my feel on the Idaho 4 as we start, gearing into those conversations. August is coming very soon. This is going to be a very expensive trip. There's no easy way to get to Idaho. You either drive or fly. Driving takes days, flying takes hundreds, right? So it's going to be where I've got to start working on the budget and finding out how to budget this trip. But I think it's it's a case that we jumped on immediately. It's a case that we followed through. It's a case that Chronicles of Olivia and I have had our hands in from the very beginning, and we're going to see it to the end. I want to see the information they have on this murderer, alleged murderer, Bryan Kohberger. I want to see the defense in action because let's face it, all states get federal funds and taxes. So this is our hard dollars at work. And if anybody knows anything about me, I like seeing where my money, my tax money is being spent. I like making sure that your tax money is being spent wisely as well. But I do take the court cases very, very seriously and the trials very, very seriously. I know the trials, on our channel don't really get a whole lot of attention, and that's okay. But the ones that want to watch it get to watch it. This one we might have a little more attention to because we're going to be boots on the ground and we are going to be reporting directly from the courthouse. We're going to be getting all of the responses and commentary directly from the attorneys and prosecutors. And I think it will be a great experience for all of our audience, our new audience that hasn't had an opportunity to see our work boots on the ground or when we're in a commentary phase of our work. And this is going to be a commentary and reporting phase, as opposed to an investigative phase. So we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, guys. So
No, you're right. I mean, if I took him another.
We have the case of Sebastian Rogers. He's the handsome man that's sitting right behind my chair here. And he's disappeared from his home since February 26, 2024, and nobody has seen him since. He hasn't been seen by law enforcement. He hasn't been seen by a third party since February 25th. He was not picked up on any cameras. And for the better part, for most of us, we don't know really what happened to him. But at this point, with it being a year, we know whatever it was bad. On March 14th, we learned that there were some movements and people moving around in the common area near his home. As a matter of fact, if you look at the video, it almost looks like these flashlights are coming from his home. Okay? Which one? Don't laugh. Oh. What? Yeah, there. I got to remember where my buttons are, so please bear with me while I'm playing with my buttons. You guys know I love to push buttons. So we've been following this case. We've been analyzing all of the interviews that the mom and stepdad have put out related to this case. We have reviewed all of the interviews that the father put out in this case. And one thing is really obvious to the many of us, and that actually is the fact that their stories have been inconsistent from one interview to the other. One thing that we noticed with Seth, his have been consistent with everything he has said. So we have one person being consistent, another two people, a mom and her husband being inconsistent. Almost every time they speak, there's a new variation of the story. Oh, it's nice to see you, my beautiful hindsight. How you doing, my friend? If Mama Rissa's up in the house, it's nice to see you. All of my beautiful content creators and moderators that are in the chat, it's nice to see you. Thank you for the love and support. And more importantly, my subscribers and members, thank you for all being here. If you have not met me before, I am Bullhorn Betty, and we cover true crime. We have an average Joe approach. We try to make sure that you understand what you're seeing and hearing. And we talk about our opinions as a normal person would. We don't put a big sweet bow tie on it. We don't make ourselves look professional or anything out. We are the average Joe channel. And the only job we have on this channel is finding and uncovering the truth. And if we can help law enforcement in any way, we like to send those leads over to law enforcement. But more importantly, we are also a support for families. We provide them flyers, we provide them other help through sponsorships like Sonia. Sonia works around the clock. She has a shirt business. She really is behind a lot of the resources that do go to these families, and little flyers that go out in all of her packages for everything that she sells on this platform and other platforms. So we're very appreciative of her contribution in the fight that we have for advocating for these lost people and deceased people and getting information. She is a godsend. She is just sweet as a button, and I'm very appreciative for the work that she does. And it's, she doesn't get a whole lot of thanks for the work she does. And I try to let people know, these flyers, these shirts, these keychains, they didn't come from Bullhorn Betty. Okay. Bullhorn Betty does not sponsor those. The channel does not sponsor those. This is something that Sonia does from the love of her heart for these cases. So whenever you have an opportunity, if you want something special, you want a cup made a certain way, you want a certain design on a shirt, you have an idea of a shirt that you want, you can reach out to her and she will make it for you. She also has a great line of Bullhorn Betty wear. If you guys like Bullhorn Betty, I know. Where is my nope. Where is my, I don't have a boo on here. I don't have a boo on here. I forgot I have to hook my other phone up for my boos. So boo, right? Don't do it. It all comes from Sonia. So thank you so much, Sonia, for your hard work and everything that you do for these cases. I know that these cases, they get a little harder and a little harder every time we cover them, and we get very drawn into them, and we learn a lot about them. We try to humanize the victim on this channel, not just talk about them. And I think we all do a great job of that. So thank you to everyone. But one of the weird things
say that something happened
is the BS that goes on. Like, I don't understand, if you're missing a child, how you can go on a show and talk about everything from, this is the most bizarre out of all the interviews we've heard. I don't know why I didn't know about this. I don't know why we didn't play it, but it's from yours truly, hotheads of TikTok. These are boneheads. They're already button heads now, from what I hear. They're throwing each other under the bus and being nasty to each other. That's why I stay in my own lane. People want to know why I don't work with them. I will work with anybody, but I'm going to watch you for a little bit because I have learned my lesson, right? And I just don't trust people like that. I just don't trust people. My time's valuable, okay? I don't need other people getting me into problems. If I'm going to step into a pile of poo-poo, I'm going to do that all by myself. And these girls looked a little dangerous for Bullhorn Betty. I didn't like them. They weren't going to vibe with me too well. And they're the first two people that reached out to me to ask me to come into this case, and not just come into this case and protest, right? And protest. That's what they wanted. That's what Tammy and BBQ Lady wanted from me. They wanted me to come into town to protest. And I had to politely explain that's not how I work. I understand I'm Bullhorn Betty, and I have no problem, going out and advocating and being an activist for a cause. But I have to do my due diligence. I am never, like, for example, I have two cases that I'm working on behind the scenes where we don't know what happened. They want me to go out and protest. And what am I protesting? I don't know if law enforcement has done a terrible job. I haven't gone into it that far. I don't go in and be a boil on the butt of anybody unless it's deserving. So we have to do this thing called fact finding. That means we take people's statements that they say, we write down the pertinent information, and we try to find out if it's true or false. It's fairly simple. once we go through our normal processes in a case and get a good understanding of factual information that we ourselves found, corroborated, and derived information from, then we move on to the next step. Anybody knows me, the protesting and the bullhorn are the last case scenario, not the first case scenario. That is a tool in the toolbox that we use when we need to use it. If we used it all the time, the effectiveness of it doesn't happen, right? When you're like, oh shit, she's getting the bullhorn. You see what I'm saying? Then you know the boat is being rocked. Then you know we are activating that strategy in these cases. A lot of people, I wear multiple hats, right? I report the news. I commentate on it. I do fact finding, but don't ever forget, at the end of the day, I'm an advocate and an activist. And I'm proud to say that because, like I said, no matter what these yahoos think of me, we change lives on this channel. We change lives in my county. We change lives across this country. But we do change lives, and we change them for the better, despite what many people would love people to believe. I show evidence of the work that we do, especially here in my county, in an effort to get people to activate in their county and be part of their community and be part of their policies and stuff to make us more involved so we're in charge and our government knows we're in charge. Our voices matter. It doesn't matter what's next to your name, D and R and I, right? We all belong here and we all have our right to stand up and speak up. And so I like to inspire people through action, right? I don't like telling you to go out and do this if I'm not going to be doing it myself. I am one of those people that like to lead by example. So I'm not telling you anything that I'm not doing. Was I always comfortable speaking to public and speaking out? Of course not. One of my first, I tell this story all the time. One of my first Board of County Commissioner meetings, I remember I was angry and I was going to tell them, y'all, right? I'm going to tell them. So I spent 2 weeks from the last meeting to the next meeting preparing this statement, timing myself on the microwave, reading it, lining it out, reducing it, making sure I fit into that 3 minutes. That's where it all started. And when I went up to the podium, I'm like, my name's Andrew Griffin. I'm from Manatee County. You could hear the shaking in my voice, okay? You don't hear the shaking in my voice anymore. And as a matter of fact, I don't practice speeches before I go in there. You know what I have? I have a piece of paper with bullet points. When I put those bullet points on the sheet, I know what I'm going to say. I don't know exactly how I'm going to say it until I get up to the microphone, kind of like we do over here. This isn't scripted. This is a live Bullhorn Betty show, okay? There's no scripts here. We entertain by our brain, okay? You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, we're done. Now let's get to the crazy. Let's get to the crazy. Guys, don't hate me because you got to look at that. Oh, I'm still not there yet. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. Maybe what we need to do is put the let's put something. I can't look at these yahoos. I don't like them. I think they're boneheads. So let's do it like this. What's the truth? You guys are going to be amazed when you hear this. I'm going to tell you that. You guys aren't going to see my face because we're going to cover this up because I don't like these bees. I don't like them at all. As a matter of fact, I think they both need to exit right. They are part of the drama squad, not the true crime squad. There is a difference. There is a difference. So this is Chris coming, and I want you to listen to this. This is going to be exhausting.
Yeah, for sure.
Couldn't imagine.
This is going to be the weirdest interview conversation anybody on my channel has ever heard.
Flyers, keep trying to do some stuff behind the scenes and work with law enforcement and do what we're supposed to be doing and living each day, one day at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, how, it's just y'all have done what law enforcement has asked you to do, and, and I get that. You got one side that follows the rules and one side that don't. It's just, I hate that it's turned into.
Yeah, we know which one follows the rules and which one doesn't, even though you, lady, try to say that you guys are following the rules. The lady you're sitting next to stole $21,000 from the public fighting for Sebastian Rogers, and you sit there with her on your panel. Have you ever heard the word called trash? Trash? Anybody? Well, that's what I think these two people are. Ghetto trash. And this lady speaking, go get some more plastic surgery. Maybe sew those lips up.
Side and side, but, it definitely has.
It's definitely one of those things that, that everybody's going to do what they feel is necessary, or what they feel that by doing what they do is going to get answers. People are people. They're grown adults. They make their own decisions.
I think the only thing that's going to get.
I wonder if I should clip that. We're grown adults. We make grown adult decisions. We all make our own decisions.
Answers is to continue spreading the awareness, the hanging of the flyers, the people that are out there searching.
The billboards.
Yep.
The billboards.
Get past all the.
Funny they bring up the billboards because they robbed everybody. Hey, Mama Rissa, it's nice to see you, love bug. I hollered you out at the beginning. I saw hindsight. I didn't know if you were in here, and I just missed you, so I went ahead and hollered you out. But now that I see you, hey.
As I've heard it called drama or whatever.
Bullshit.
There you go. People just get past that.
Well, I'm glad they understand exactly how the real world thinks of them.
Focus on Sebastian.
For sure.
Okay.
And you definitely.
So now we got this established, right? He wants to focus on Sebastian, right? He wants to focus on Sebastian. And I realize I have a cover on here that says Terry Lynn's interview. Obviously, this is not Terry Lynn's interview, but I wanted to cover this up because you know me, I don't like plugging garbage or trash. So they're not going to be plugged on here. This is just being used as an example of a hot mess express in a, what did they just say?
Definitely have, you and Katie have a lot of people that are behind you and supporting you, as you can see in our chat.
Well, we appreciate. I don't think I can see the chat. But
you can if you push. I don't know what your phone looks like, but under your box it says stage, comments, chat. If you click the comment one, you can see the chat.
Oh, okay. Didn't even know that.
Barbecue's all about teaching somebody how to do something.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I heard these two hot mess expressive ladies. They can't fight with no more people, so now they're fighting amongst themselves. One saying the other stole the money. God knows what they're saying about each other. But you know what? Dog eat dog, right? That's why we ain't dogs. We're lions. Because we don't eat. We fix. We love. We care. But they will tear each other apart. That's why I do not associate with people like this. And I'm glad I told them no when they tried to get me there. Because I was like, yeah, I'll get there. They're like, we need to protest. We need to protest. And I'm like, I've got to do some work before we're there. Because they all have mental illness. I mean, who needs that much plastic surgery unless they were butt ugly? No offense. But I see beautiful people all the time that, have some issues. You don't see them run into the freaking chop shop. Just saying.
This is my first time doing a.
And if you do run to the chop shop, there's still love for Betty. I don't need to know all that, but you ain't up here being all nasty with all that plastic fake stuff too,
To by myself, so don't be judging me. I don't know how to do everything correctly, but I did
No, you don't do nothing correctly.
get you up here, so that's a plus.
I struggle to figure out all this stuff as well. So we're in the same boat.
Yeah, for sure. I even learned how to play videos on here. So, like,
You guys think this? Let me ask you
I've
guys.
even
Do you
stepped it up.
guys think this is an appropriate conversation to have when we have a missing boy? Hey, Mr. Lila, you wanna come, my beautiful baby? Oh, she just pulled my ear things out. Hold on, I can't hear. Give me a second. Okay, the eagle has landed. The eagle has landed. If you guys are concerned, Delilah is officially in my lap. Say hi. Yeah, I don't think this is appropriate. It's gonna get less entertaining very, very soon.
She did a good job. I was surprised.
So how's everything going down there? Did you guys y'all don't get any of that aftermath of the hurricane, did you?
Who cares? Who the F cares? We got a missing boy. I find this so problematic.
we did not. Nope. We didn't even get rain. We totally missed it here. Thank God.
This is on the heels of let's make this about Sebastian. You guys just heard Chris say we need to make this about Sebastian, right? And now he's talking about the flipping weather. This just seems odd to me. And if you guys want to know, this happened in the late part of October 2022. Let me see exactly the date. It was recorded on October 12th, mid-October 2024. So just a few months ago. This was their conversation. They haven't seen a child that's been missing from their home for literally months. And he's just talking about the weather. Hey, Justice Jane.
You know, I almost went down there last week, but then the more I thought about it, it's like there's barely any resources down there for people, you know. I don't want to be just an extra person, but there's a lot of people doing a lot of things for down there. So, like, I think the government.
Yeah, let's not help anybody. Let's leave it to the government and let's talk about it. And let's say, oh, we got a lot of people out there, even though people are always screaming for help. But I'm not going to do it because at the end of the day, let's be honest. Why isn't she doing it? Because she's lazy. Come on, y'all. It costs too much money to help. So they don't help. They bitch.
Government should have came in a little bit better, but it restores your faith in humanity to know that your neighbors and community members and people from all over, not even just in your town, states away, people are coming together just to help people.
Wow. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that everybody else is getting help. What are we going to do to help Sebastian? I guess would have been in the next appropriate question. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you so much. If you received your Bullhorn Betty memberships, please don't forget to tell Pamela thank you so very much. And our beautiful Lady Justice with the super sticker. God bless you all. Thank you so much for your love and your support of this channel. It is much appreciated.
Survive.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Now, I mean, the sad part is it takes a catastrophic event for people to rally together to show support for one another. Then,
so why did their catastrophic event not do that? Why did their catastrophic event not bring people together? It seems awfully funny. I think this whole line of conversation is inappropriate for the situation, but it's funny that he's saying it takes a catastrophic event to bring people together. But in their case, it ripped people apart. Interesting.
just doing it as your everyday, just fellow man used to do, helping one another.
Yeah, I agree.
I do have faith in humanity. I think we will eventually get back to it. I really hope so.
I don't like to talk politics, but this is going to be, I feel like this is a make or break year for a lot of the trajectory that's been happening.
Well, I could see that.
Stephen came up in my live earlier and he was talking about like the people of West North Carolina where he's been. He said people come together, you know, when stuff happens. He said, but the way that community has come together for each other, he said, is like nothing he has ever seen in his life.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some of the things he's done. I listen to his lives every so often and
Interesting.
and whatnot. I mean, it's pretty heartbreaking. It kind of reminds me of Haiti.
Reminds him of Haiti. Let's see where this conversation goes. Let me guess. Probably not about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Let's find out.
When the tsunami hit Haiti.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The tsunami hit Japan back then, and it was
Yeah, I agree.
Seen all that firsthand. So that's.
Were you in the Navy then?
Oh yeah.
I don't even know when that happened. I'm trying to. What year was that?
Oh God.
I didn't always stay up on current events.
2012.
Oh wow.
2012. Well, we know. Excuse me. We know that he has been in the military for a very long time. We've heard, and I've got to establish this as a rumor because I haven't been able to corroborate it with actual, and maybe somebody has corroborated it. You might need to send me the documentation, but the rumor has it that he was forced into the military or he was going to jail.
I mean, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what exactly happened?
Well, I mean, you just had a tsunami wave that walked in and, I mean, it just wreaked havoc on the entire coastline and for miles and miles in. I mean, not going to paint too graphic of a picture, but I mean, there was people laid everywhere. I mean, the smell was atrocious.
If you guys don't understand what that is all about, what people don't know, maybe they do know, but what happens is these tsunamis, they are huge waves, obviously, that hit the land and push water up, right? What people don't realize is there's a lot of people that typically survive that wave in. What people don't expect is when that water draws back to the ocean. It takes everything in its weight. Now, granted, there's a lot of damage that comes from the wave in, but people don't realize that there's going to be an equal thrust back to the ocean. And what that does is it takes everybody in its way and sucks them back into the ocean. I've seen, what was it? I think like I Survived Death or something like that. And I actually think it was this particular tsunami right here. And I remember a guy saying all he could do is hold on to a tree for dear life. He didn't know where his wife was. If I recall, both him and his wife did ultimately survive the tsunami. But he described the wave in, but he also described the unexpected water retreat, which sucked people out to the ocean. It was, that. But again, is this really an appropriate conversation to be having whenever you have a missing child and you have a platform, and I'll granted this was a new platform. I don't anticipate that they had a whole lot of people in their chat, but I can't recall. Let me just see this. Yeah, they didn't have a whole lot of people because the total views on this in 5 months have been, 3,000. So they had a very, very, very small live.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
And then they deployed
Robbie.
people like you to go help.
Oh yeah. Different commands with different specialties.
Holy shiznit. So when he was being paid to help and to show up, he helped and showed up. When it comes down to his own personal life and residence, he runs away. This is a very, very interesting statement. Let's check it out just a little bit. Let me just back up here about 10 seconds.
And then they deployed people like you to go help.
Oh yeah. Different commands with different specialties. A lot of helicopter squadrons got deployed. A couple of ships got put out that way. But yeah, I think even one of the hospital ships went out there, the Mercy or the Hope, I think, went out that way.
So it sounds like he knows how to search for people. If it sounds like this man is very well equipped for search and rescue, put a 1 in the chat. If you think he has no experience in search and rescue, please put a 2 in the chat. Let's gauge the audience. Actually, let me go over here. Let's go ahead and end our poll for DM and BF. And it says, do you believe BF, Bethany Funk, and Dylan Mortensen were scared for their lives? 58% of our audience believes they were. I'm part of that. So we've got the poll going with the 1s and the 2s in here. And I can tell you just off the bat, and thank you all for being honest. We got the majorities of 1s in the chat. So he has now demonstrated being a person that would be deployed for search, rescue, and recovery. It seems awfully funny that he has this experience, education, and expertise, and he failed to use it on his stepson and for the benefit of his stepson. I have a problem with this, folks. I have a problem with this. He used to do this kind of stuff. And he benches himself when it really matters the most. Does that make sense to people? Doesn't make sense to me.
That's sad. The world is crazy. Like, if you really think about what really exists in the world, like Mother Nature,
Hey, astrology.
most people call it, but like water is dangerous.
So dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, you're not guaranteed every day on this earth. You know, one day you wake up and the next day you may not.
Whoa! Whoa! What?
What?
What did he just say? What in what? Let's listen to this. Hey, D.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, you're not guaranteed every day on this earth. You know, one day.
Whoa, let's listen to what he says here. Let's listen to what he says here. Is this leakage? Is this leakage?
Yeah. I mean, but then again, you're not guaranteed every day on this earth.
Listen.
You know, one day you wake up and the next day you may not. Our decision.
One day you wake up, the next day you may not. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
man's upstairs. But
Are you working today?
no. I am off today.
That's good. Everybody deserves a day off.
It's kind of nice actually, but
It's like campfire, marshmallow, s'mores weather up here in Pennsylvania.
it's getting that way down this way. It's starting to get a little chillier at night.
Yes, it is. I love it when it gets chilly at night. Barbecue was talking about turning the damn heat on last night, and I was like, no.
Damn, it was 47 degrees outside.
Oh, that's perfect inside. That's the perfect weather inside.
What, 47 inside your house is
No,
perfect?
not inside. When it's that degrees outside, then inside.
No, but it was probably about 52 in my house.
Oh, yeah, that is cold. You're not going to see me turn any heat on, but our house is very well, I guess, insulated.
I take it she doesn't live in a trailer. Just saying. We all know trailers have no insulation. It's like metal over wood and like, I don't even paneling. There's like no insulation in a trailer, not whatsoever. I don't know how the people in trailers up in those states, because here in Florida, trailers are dangerous. When you have them in other areas, they're not as dangerous because they just don't withstand hurricanes here, right? But I can tell you, I've been in them, especially in Georgia. Very, very nice ones, by the way. And I can tell you that you had to run the heat all the time because it froze inside those trailers. There's no insulation whatsoever.
But it's going to be November, December before heat comes on in my house.
Yeah, but we live in a different, like, we could get snow next week.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, your weather dynamics is so different out there. It is.
Like right now, all of our leaves.
Do you guys understand why I picked this interview? This is what I was talking about. When you're listening to it, you're like, what in the F are they talking about? What in the world are they talking about? There is a child missing. I just feel like people get on their shows and forget that. This right here is bizarre, to say the least, for me.
Leaves are damn near falling off the trees.
Wow, yeah, ours aren't. Not quite.
No.
Yep.
Not yet.
I think I'm going to go for a hike tomorrow. I was going to go on my TikTok and go for a hike. There's a spot that I used to go to, but you go through the woods across the ridge line, and then you can climb up this one little spot, and about 30-40 feet up, you like rock climb up the side of the thing, and when you get to the top, you can see for hours.
That's cool.
It's kind of like look up.
I'm sorry, I don't see that lady hiking nowhere. Oh, God, heard a buffalo coming through. Beware.
You like rock climb up the side of the thing, and when you get to the top.
She said rock climb, y'all. Still inappropriate. We got a missing kid, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Top, you can see for hours.
That's cool.
Hey, Tony, nice to see you.
Kind of like Lookout Point up there.
Yes. Where you can see,
see
how many states can you see there, Chris? It's like
Kentucky, West Virginia,
Oh, wow.
Maryland.
Yeah, you stand in one spot and you can see all
it's like
these
6 or 7 states. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
just take some binoculars and I'll wave to you guys. Take a telescope. I got a telescope, actually. Maybe if you use a telescope, you could see me waving.
Well, they had those things up there. You know, you put the quarter in and you look through it.
Let me ask you guys, you know, at the beginning of this, you know, when he came on panel, he wanted to make it about Sebastian. Would you give him an A for effort or an F for failure? I'm just curious, because outside of those statements, I haven't heard anything about Sebastian. I've heard about tsunami in Haiti. I've heard about, how he goes out on these missions but can't seem to go out for his stepson. The weather, and now viewing of states. I'm kind of confused here. I really think that I am, if I was hearing this for the first time, I would assume that all these people are friends and content creators. I would never, ever, ever even know that one of these people have a missing child and has had a missing child for 8 months. I don't know. Do you think Brandy Neal would be on a show acting like this? Her son's missing and has never been found, presumed dead. Do you think she would be on a show having these types of conversations? She's been dealing with this since 2021. I have never heard anything. And she's got a lot of friends on social media now. So, again, never, ever, ever heard a conversation like this coming out of Brandy Neal's mouth.
Oh yeah, the timed out binoculars.
Yeah,
Speaking of telescopes, there's supposed to be some type of meteor showers going on this whole month of October.
Who in the world thinks of a meteor shower in October when you got a child missing? Who would know that? I didn't know that. Maybe because I'm too busy researching the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case to know about a flippin' meteor shower.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
We had to go out and find the moon for one of a TikToker that we're friends with because she thinks the moon's disappeared, and she lives in North. She lives in North or South Carolina, y'all. She thinks she can't find the moon. She thinks it's left. It's left.
Do you guys get to see the boreal?
No mental illness on social media at all.
Alice the other night.
I seen pictures of other people's.
Yeah, I didn't.
You know what's crazy is I have a really, really nice telescope. I like, because we're coming down to Nashville.
Told you.
But one, like the place we're staying has a rooftop, and we could have hooked. I'm thinking of how I can get that telescope.
Oh no.
I'm sitting here thinking, how can we get that telescope?
Girl, we don't need no telescope. We're good.
I could check a suitcase and then I could carry the telescope on. Because
I can just bring some binoculars.
Oh, but a telescope's different.
Is anybody with me on what in the world is going on this panel? I'm still like flabbergasted over here trying to figure out what the whole purpose of this was.
Tammy, like when you look at the moon through a telescope and you see the craters.
Nikki said you're not bringing no damn telescope.
Nikki.
Well, it is pretty cool to see that kind of stuff through a telescope. And
it is.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing that something was created to be able to like see that far away. I don't know. I mean, Tam, have you ever looked at a telescope, Tam?
Well, yeah. Of course.
I got some moon pictures. I actually stuck my iPhone up.
Wouldn't this be a great segue into talking about a story about Sebastian and taking him out to see meteor showers or anything like that? This would be a great segue into that. Do you think they talk about any type of memory or anything like that? Let's listen.
Up to the lens.
Does that work? Like, do it that way?
Yeah, if you line it up right, you can one of your lenses on your phone, if you put it up to where the part where you put your eye at, you can see the moon. Like you can take pictures of it.
You know what? Kind of a little different, but if we're talking about the sky, on my way home from the vet, like you go through like no service at all. And my phone asked me if I wanted to connect to a
Can you guys believe that this is the conversation they're having? I think I've learned more in just this little bit about astrology than I've heard at all about Sebastian across all of their interviews. I find that a little bizarre and weird. I'm like, what?
Green with the earth, the round earth, not the flat one. And it was like, move to the right. It was like a little arrow.
Yeah, mine was doing that too. Is that with the new update or something?
I have no clue.
Chris, have you had that happen to your phone yet?
No, not yet.
Have you got an iPhone?
Oh yeah, got an iPhone.
Oh, well, then it's
half
going
the
to
notifications that come through. If it's not something
You
in
have to
regards
be
to
in
like
SOS
Sebastian,
mode.
half the time I don't even look at it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah. My son is a conspiracist, and he's always finding all this crazy stuff in the sky. And he's like, have you seen this? And have you seen this? And I'm like, no. And he said, you know why? It's because they invented phones so everybody would be looking down instead of up. If you get your face out of that phone sometimes and look up, you'd see some of this stuff. And I was like, you know what? You got a point there. We all are looking down.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the problems people
Hey,
are now having that we
SRK.
never used to have. Neck problems, eye vision.
Exactly.
You know,
yep.
kids have
You're
lost
right.
their ideas of just going outside and being kids and playing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with all the
Being kids and playing. That is such a profound statement to me. Because it seemed like the one thing Sebastian didn't do at their house was be a kid and play. Sounded like when they got there, they were isolated. He was isolated. And then all of a sudden, all these CPS reports start flying in over the next, I can't remember how many months, either 14 or 17, I think I've heard, or something like that. I'm unfamiliar. But I know somebody in the chat knows.
the crazy and the crime and everything.
About that stuff when we were growing up. Our parents was off at work, and we were at home by ourselves, and we were out in the woods, and we were riding our four-wheeler to the store that we wasn't supposed to be going to on the road, and all kinds of stuff. You could never do that nowadays. We were talking about people walking to school, like
I walked to school in like second grade to and from.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What is the ever-loving purpose for this god-awful conversation?
That's one thing I never did do. I never lived close enough to a school to walk to it.
Shit, even in high school.
You know what you can deduct from this is that both of these ladies and the guy on here really don't care about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Because if they all cared about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, wouldn't that be their only focus, or at least their top focus of the conversation? Yes, it is, Tiffany.
If I
And the plastic blonde that she's now warring with.
woke up late or something like that and I missed the bus, I had two chances to catch the bus. Once at the driveway, and then if I ran down through the backyard, jumped the fence, went down the dead end road, there was a stop down there. If I missed that, it's not but 3 miles to the school, so get to hiking.
I walked.
Now, did you grow up did you grow up and go to school in Tennessee?
I attended Tennessee schools. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I wasn't for sure.
I lived at the bottom of a hill and I walked up and over the hill. When I say a hill, I'm not talking a little itty bitty hill. I'm talking like.
They've been talking about this nonsense for a blessed hour at this point. What time did he get on? He got on after they showed 2 hours of my content. I guess they love talent. Talentless always love talent. Okay, maybe I'm just stretching it out because it looks like he didn't get on until 2:34, so 16 minutes. Okay, I was over the amount.
You gotta lean forward to walk up the hill.
Was you barefooted and was it 3 foot of snow?
I walked in the snow, the rain.
Barefooted? In the snow? What is wrong with these people?
No, we had school. No, they canceled school back in the day for us. Now they do virtual days. But I walked 18 blocks to school and 18 blocks home.
Yep, you sound like Grandpa. I walked to school. I walked uphill both ways there and on the way home. And
I'm literally ready to hit a hard surface at this point.
I was barefooted and it was 10 foot of snow.
Maybe we should speed it up a little bit. Slow it down when we hear something interesting.
That's what that story reminded me of.
I don't know. The snow, I think the snow is pretty, but it's not. I don't particularly care for it.
Listen, Tammy's trying to get me to move to Alabama after my daughter graduates.
Yep.
There's some things that need to change with the Alabama laws a little bit, but other than that, I'm not opposed.
Criminal. A criminal worried about a state's law. Just saying.
I don't know. I mean, I think everybody calls her Grandma Ivy. I think she might be on her last term. If she's on her last term, they get somebody new in there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Who is that lady? She's like,
oh, he's not politically sound at all. Nothing at all. Nothing to see over here. I bet you he's not involved in his county politics one bit. What do you think?
Old as dirt.
Yep.
Yeah, but she's old, but she's also traditionally old school, which I think has kind of helped slow the progression of a lot of the things that most people don't want to see happen.
Yeah.
I think she's got a lot of good things, good reasons for what she's doing, as well as the people of Alabama. I mean, it's a real simple life. I mean, it's actually.
And we're in the Bible Belt too. You got to remember.
Oh my
I don't
God,
care for
Tammy.
income taxes.
love
That's why I push away.
Listen, I know what you're spraying.
Oh shoot!
Does it have a white cap?
Yep. Sure does. I love to smell good. And you got ears like a damn elephant.
I'm not always though. I'm hard of hearing though, but like sometimes I hear stuff. But here's the thing. I am very observant and inquisitive.
Yeah, you are. I bet Chris didn't even hear what you're even talking about.
Nope.
So every night I'm over here spraying myself with some good smelling stuff.
So you got to what's that store that the ladies like to go to? Bed Bath and no, hold on.
Bath.
They have now been talking like this for a cool 20 minutes. A cool 20 minutes. Let's make it about Sebastian, eh?
And Body Works.
Yeah, that one. And they get all them body sprays and stuff.
Yeah, no, I can't stand those, but I used to. I used to like them. Now we've moved on to this Sol de Janeiro that you can get at Ulta and Sephora, and it comes in all these different scents, and they're so freaking good.
Thank you, Astrology,
the
for the
only
mystic.
one that heard it. Look at.
Did y'all hear it? Yeah.
Thank you for being there. Thank you for bringing this chat to light. Never heard it. I would love for the deception detective to analyze this one. Speaks volumes. Yeah, I mean, it's like what? I'm not getting off that. I mean, this is very bizarre to me, and I know that it I can't stand to listen to these people talk, but I'm like, this is crazy. Is Seth? I hear people saying hi to Seth. If Seth's in here, hello, sir. I hope you're doing well. So I'm just, wait, what? What is this about? 20 blessed minutes. 20 blessed minutes.
Yep. The chat heard it too.
Room, Tammy.
They knew what I was doing too.
Someone's asking how Katie's doing. We don't want to ignore the chat because they're here all listening too.
Oh yeah.
She's, hanging in there. She's doing the best she can. She gets up every morning and puts one foot in front of the other and prays that we get an answer.
Yep.
But, I mean,
What do you think? What do you think the next step is? I mean, because
okay,
and you don't have to answer this.
So now we're getting into some questions. Let's see how long this questioning lasts. Okay, so we started it back at 2:53, closer to the end. So I'll put like 3-4. So we're there now, and we'll see how long we get some questions when they decided to joke around for 20 minutes.
Obviously, this is just me kind of like thinking and talking out loud, but like, it's been over 7 months. The police have not said anything. So it's been 6 months.
Do people understand what leading questions are? It's when you're asking a question, but you're giving the answer you want in it. You understand? And did you just hear that? She made sure she got to put in what she wants to hear. You can't hear anything? I'm pretty sure. Turn your volume up, Ash Cash. Should be able to hear just fine. Nobody's screaming it's muted, so I haven't seen that I lost my audio.
Since there's been a public statement, I guess.
Yeah, not even a press.
Is that something that like
okay.
I mean, is that something that can be requested by the family,
I mean, what I can tell you is, the same thing they would probably tell you. Right now, there's nothing. There's no leads. There's no anything. Right now, we're just kind of like, we're waiting on the one. There's got to be, in most of these cases, there's always one thing. It's the one thing. They just need one for it to break, and then, everything starts falling into place.
You would think you'd be a little more excited about that.
And we are all waiting on that one thing. What is that one lead, tip, overlook of something? They're constantly looking at things.
I just realized when I mute my microphone, I must mute the monitor that's playing at, because you guys said you guys lost audio for a second, and the only thing I did was mute my microphone to cough and to get Delilah off my. She wasn't comfortable. The air conditioning came on, and she was too cold, so I knew she was ready to get down.
It's just, I wish there was something to go on, but there's not. And it's gut wrenching. It truly is gut wrenching.
I believe, and I really feel strongly about this, I think that there's been so many rumors circulating and theories, and like, I don't, like, we've gone back and listened to interviews from the way beginning, from, interviews that you and Katie has done, interviews that, the father has done. And I think that so much has happened in between then and now that it clouds the memory, first of all, and people start to fabricate what they think, and they do start to they want to blame somebody. Like, I'm just saying in general, like, people want to blame somebody. I just feel like some of the things that have been talked about or theorized about, some of those things could just have been put to bed, so to speak, as a metaphor, by them coming out and just saying certain things, like to shut people up in a sense. Like, okay, that's not it, da 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 da.
Well, law enforcement don't typically come out just to shut people up, but we do have some occasions where they did. The green hoodie person is a good example in this case. Also, they were immediate when a new video was circulating from the unscrupulous PI that indicated the potential of there being a video of Sebastian leaving. So we definitely know that there is cameras in that community that was able to pick up decent image even far away in that community. Yet we have nothing for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Can somebody please explain that to me? And the only piece that came close was one that law enforcement debunked right away to keep it from growing legs, I would presume. Why they haven't been more forthcoming with irrelevant details, much like what we just learned in the Bryan Kohberger case, like the text messages between Dylan and Bethany. Well, my issue is with that is they were coming under so much fire, yet they were terrified, but they didn't know if it was a prank. You can clearly see in just my opinion, just using and using your mind as you're reading this stuff, it appears that whatever they saw freaked the crap out of them, but they had to, in their back of their mind, be thinking that this was just a prank or a hoax. They knew they were drunk. They've had something like this done before. And everybody was okay. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. We know that they pranked each other. We know that they like to drink and have a good time. But for the most part, they were good kids. So I don't know.
This is why, blah, 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 blah. You know? Like, and again, they don't know us shit. They don't have to tell us anything.
But Moscow Police Department did come forth about everybody in that house being cleared. They weren't suspects, and the social media still tried to blame them.
And they could have information, they just don't want to tell us anything, you know, because they're working leads, or, you know, they're like you said, waiting for that one little thing that they need.
I mean, we work with law enforcement. I mean, we're working with them. If they call and they want something, they get it. It's not even hesitation.
Whoa. Let's re-listen to that. That, I think, was fairly telling. We're going to go back 15 seconds. Let's listen to that.
They're like you said, waiting for that one little thing that they need.
I mean, we work with law enforcement.
We work with law enforcement. So he caught himself saying that. We work with law enforcement. So he went to say so he's on a public platform. He knows that people are going to be listening. He says, we work with law enforcement. Then he makes a correction. Let's listen to the correction.
I mean, we're working with them. If they call and they want something, they get it. It's not even.
We're working with them, and then follows that up. If they call and want something, we give it to them. I think that's important. Why is that important? Because many of the people that we work with, study, when they're missing a loved one, whether it's an adult loved one or it's a child loved one, what are they constantly doing? They're constantly calling law enforcement. They're constantly wanting to know what's going on in the case. They're constantly wanting to know if there's been any changes. We hear, sometimes parents go up there every day to make the detective look at them in their face. So now, why I don't think everybody will go to that extreme, many keep in regular contact with law enforcement, not the opposite. Like law enforcement isn't calling them because, as you've learned in the video that we just showed you with Steve Gonzalez, how is he learning of what's going on in the court case and everything else? Through the media. He's getting no contact by the state. He's getting no contact by law enforcement. If he's getting it from the news, just like everybody else. And he hates it. So they're not reaching him. And they're not telling him anything. But here, Chris is describing law enforcement reaching out to them and wanting stuff. And they send it. I find that statement very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
An hesitation.
Yeah.
They get it. We've reached out and asked a couple questions, and some of the questions we've asked they cannot answer because it's an ongoing investigation.
So now they have reached out and asked questions, but it's an ongoing investigation. That means the questions that they were asking went to the integrity of the investigation. That's also interesting.
I mean, it just,
right.
Times like, well, we thought about this. Well, let's revisit this. And what if we did this? And, and they're doing the best that they can. They bring in teams, they anything that we could think of, they're pretty much either done it already, redoing it. The amount of help from outside entities and sources has been, I don't see how they could get anything better. Unless somebody's got a crystal ball or a genie in a lamp, we can rub and make a wish.
I think you need to trademark the crystal.
So inappropriate.
Ball thing.
Trademark the
crystal
clear. The crystal clear thing, not the crystal ball. Crystal clear, I think. Like that.
No, honey. Sebastian's Army has already coined that.
I think I heard Tony even use the.
And yes, we did steal it from him.
That lingo. In an interview.
What
You might not want to talk about this.
I've been waiting.
That's totally fine. But I've been trying to get this YouTube. Like I woke up this morning trying to figure out how to do this and get videos on here and do all this. And for over an hour, I searched for this video on Court TV of Seth and Tony being interviewed, and I could not find it. And I'm like,
last night,
how am I missing this video? Why? Because I really wanted to play it. Well, come to find out, Court TV.
Well, Tony, you're being thought of by somebody. Don't feel like nobody loves you.
Put that video down.
Nothing is ever down.
No.
I need to know. They need to understand. Once you put it on the internet,
it's there forever.
Oh yeah. No, it didn't take me but a couple of minutes talking about it, and it was sent to us, and I went ahead and played it.
Oh yeah, it
less
won't
than
take you long.
24 hours later, though, the people who aired it took it down, and that to me was kind of telling.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to comment on it, but did you watch?
The reason why it's not telling is because they are the masters. This whole clan of misfits are masters in brigading and bullying.
The interview. What do you think of the interview?
I've seen the interview, and I mean, it's an interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, my opinion is still the same as I have told everybody in the very beginning. People have their opinions, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm not going to sit here and tell people your opinions are wrong. I'm not going to say they're right. I'm not going to try to persuade you in any way, form.
I find this laughable since I've got 4 POs against me for my commentary.
Paper fashion.
Yep.
That's your choice.
I.e. my opinion.
My working with law enforcement, and if I was guilty of anything, then I would probably be sitting in handcuffs right now. But I'm not.
Wow. That's boastful, but not confident. I'm sorry, just wasn't. I think he's playing cat and mouse with law enforcement.
I would probably be sitting in handcuffs right now, but I'm not.
Right.
Nor is Katie.
Right.
Nor Seth.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. And I've told him this before, he's a grieving father. I understand. He's hurting. He truly is. He's hurting. So is Katie.
Oh, he understands a grieving father. Huh. Interesting choice of words. He understands. I'm just trying to figure out how he understands. He doesn't have a child missing. He really didn't care for Sebastian. I mean, how would he understand? Delilah, you got no reason to be in there, honey. Oh no. Let's not say we did.
Katie.
Mm-hmm.
The whole family.
And everybody handles their emotions differently. Some people lash out. Some people are more internal. Some people are spiritual. Some people are just whatever their niche is that it helps them express themselves. It is,
I'm sorry. I've heard many grieving moms, and I've never heard a non-grieving mom grieve. I don't understand that. I'm confused.
Right now, if that's what they choose to do, that's what they choose to do. I do agree with a lot your comment earlier where there's a lot of the BS out there that if you were to strip it all that away.
And just to let you know, he stopped talking about Sebastian in less than 10 minutes.
And get back to just the basics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this thing would be nearly as big as a circus as it's gotten. I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. There's, the negative way. If this would stop, it would end. But at the same time, would Sebastian's name go unspoken? Would this case fall a wayside? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
I don't want that to happen. None of the parents want to see this happening. None of the families, regardless of how each other feels about one another, nobody wants to see this case fall away to a cold case. Nobody does.
No.
Law enforcement included. I mean, they've made some comments like this sucks. Like it's gut wrenching because all these cases, kids missing and nobody's been able to be found, or it's not cases they like to deal with for sure.
Yeah. You almost have to take the good with the bad, huh? If all the circus stopped, then like you said, would his name stop being spoken to as well, or about as well?
I mean, it's amazing that, we can drive around and we can still see the signs out. A lot of the flyers, were put up or now taken down.
Well, from what I hear, everybody was complaining about the flyers being up, or at least 2 people in that community at minimum.
It just sucks because it's like, here we are almost 8 months. Why isn't everybody leaving their flyers up?
Yeah.
Why aren't anybody leaving their flyers up? I don't know. It might be a court TV segment where you got somebody that posted a flyer in court. That might have something to do with it. But that really was the message, wasn't it? I mean, that's really what the intent of all this was, I would presume.
I don't know.
Yeah, I could see where that kind of I could see if I was Katie and people were taking down the flyers, it would be like, have they given up hope? Or, why are you taking it down? He's not been found yet.
I do want to say, in our chat over here is mostly from our TikTok, obviously, but you guys coming and giving us those flyers that day speaks mountains,
Military trained guy that goes out and searches for everybody else but his own stepson that disappeared from his house. All right, guys, that is a wrap for tonight. I hope you guys all I can't take anymore. I'm sorry. I have a palate for so much, bull crap. And we've been on here for 2 hours and 36 minutes. I had an exhausting day yesterday. I've been dealing with a lot of stuff and paperwork today. And that's why we were pushed so stinking late for our live tonight. We're going to be coming back to this. We're going to be circling back to a lot. We've got a lot of breaking news going on in this country. And we are going to start going over some of that breaking news. But we cannot lose our focus on Sebastian Rogers and trying to find any information that will help bring him home. If you have any questions, any comments, please reach out to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Don't forget to be fearless and love y'all. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.